Hey fam! So it is time to dive into my third Twisted Tale. Though this is the first one that was published. This is A Whole New World, the Aladdin Twisted Tale. I'm really excited to read this one, you guys. I've heard mixed reviews. Though to be fair, I haven't seen a whole lot of book reviews on YouTube about the Twisted Tales. That's one reason I decided if I'm going to read them, I might as well do reviews on them because I haven't seen that many. That being said, the few people who have done these reviews, thank you, because that is literally the only reason I discovered these books, and I am having a blast so far. I've read two. You can check out my previous reviews. I am going to start, I read the first two books that I read when I had COVID, so I was able to kind of power through them pretty quickly. That's not usually the case for me. Usually, I work for myself, I'm writing my own book, I'm pretty busy, so I've decided that I'm probably gonna, instead of just doing basic book reviews, I'm probably gonna be doing more like reading vlogs. That'll give me more time and like the ability to actually like remember, page numbers that something weird happens or specific things like nuances or whatever that I want to talk about. And just give like a better opinion. That being said, I still want to keep these spoiler free. um, Probably the only books that I'm gonna get like super spoilery about are ones that are like super popular, and I'll always give you guys a heads up about that. But yeah, that being said, let's get into this. I can't wait to see how it goes so far. I've really liked the first two. The first two I read were As Old as Time, the Beauty and the Beast retelling, and or Twisted Tale, and the other one was Reflection, the Mulan one. And I really loved both of those for very different reasons. So I can't wait to see what this one's like. Okay, so I am 80 pages in. The twist has happened, and I don't think I said this yet, but the twist, if you didn't see it in the last shot, is what if Aladdin never found the lamp? So he does find the lamp, but he doesn't get to keep it. In this version of events, Abu is apparently not as good of a thief, and so Jafar ends up with the lamp. Wow. Yeah, okay. So these Twisted Tales are definitely like way darker than the actual Disney movies themselves, which I expected. These are like young adult novels, and as I've said in a previous video, I haven't really read a whole lot of young adult, like maybe Harry Potter, but aside from that, I haven't really read a whole lot of young adult like since I was a young adult. So I don't know how dark YA books typically get, but this is pretty dark so far. Again, I don't really want to get into spoilers, but Jafar is way more evil in this version. It's also way more gritty and realistic. Like the first 80 pages or so felt very nostalgic, like I was like re-experiencing the movie, but like with more details because I was in like the minds of some of the characters, right? But predominantly Aladdin. We get some of his like backstory with his mom and stuff like that, and it feels a lot more real world. I almost feel, and I think I said this for my As Old as Time review, because it was a similar vibe, and it was also that one was also by Liz Braswell. But these kind of feel like reading like a historical fantasy. Like obviously Agrabah is not a real place, but a lot of it, like the genie is a jinn, right? So they talk about that. And like the story that seems to be forming here is very different. There's still definitely magic in it. Obviously, like Jafar got the lamp, but it feels so much more like we're heading into the story of like a rebellion or a revolution, which I'm fully on board with. Like, bring it. Any stories like that, if you have good recommendations for any books that are about a rebellion or a revolution or anything in that kind of genre, let me know. Tell me in the comments because I love that kind of storyline. So I think this one might be one of my favorites so far. I don't know. I've loved them all for different reasons. So I honestly, at this point, don't even know how I'm going to be able to rank these by the time I get through the series. Which at this point, I have almost the entire series because I am so obsessed. So. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold up, y'all. Guess what just popped up in a Disney book? This is what I'm saying. This shit is way dark. Excuse my language. This is way darker than the original, but I did not see this coming. Um, so right here, I'm on page 204, and Jafar is looking for the Al Azif by Abdul Al Hazred. Do you guys know who that is? If anyone knows, let me know that you know, but I'm going to tell you anyway if you didn't know because this is I'm very excited to see where we're going, like even more so than I was. The Al Azif, okay, you might not know what that is, but I imagine most people have at this point probably heard of the Necronomicon. I literally have a copy of this on my bookshelf because I'm a weirdo and I like weird, creepy and witchy things. So for those who are unfamiliar, quick little history about the Necronomicon. This is a book that was literally dreamed up by H.P. Lovecraft, who is the father of cosmic horror, and he was also known as the Sleeping Prophet. Basically, he had all of these dreams all the time about these old gods who were basically giant aliens that had a lot to do with like the beginnings of Earth, like very early Earth time, right? Like it's like an alternate or parallel universe kind of idea. Although some people actually believe in this stuff, and that's what actually a lot of H.P. Lovecraft stories are about is like cultists who pray to these old gods. Although these old gods are very dangerous, they're very dark. It's not necessarily that they hate humans, but they're more indifferent to us. So they're very cold. They don't view us as like we're like bugs to them, right? It's a very nihilistic worldview, but that's where the Necronomicon comes from. The Al Azif is one part of the Necronomicon because it's split into two parts. It's split into the grimoire. God, I can never say that word. I love it, but I can never say it. But the grimoire is the magical part of the book, right? It has all of the like rituals on connecting with these old alien gods, right? Like Cthulhu, Yog-Sothoth, Nyarlathotep, all of those, right? If those names sound familiar, at least Cthulhu probably sounds familiar, right? That's where they come from. The Al Azif by Abdul Al Hazred. Abdul Al Hazred is a mythical character from that mythos. He was known as the Mad Arab. Hence, like, it does kind of fit, right, with what we're going for here. Jafar being a dark magician and all that. But I still didn't expect them to throw this in there. The Al Azif is the first part of the Necronomicon. That's the writings of this mad Arab as he travels through the desert and through parts of Arabia, and he has interactions with demons, and he finds these like temples and ruins and all kinds of stuff that are built to honor these ancient gods that modern humans have forgotten about, etc., etc. There's a lot to go in there, and this is not about H.P. Lovecraft, but I am literally like I'm so like floored right now that this is in a Disney movie. I like read that and I was like, "What? No." I even Googled to make sure I wasn't like misremembering the name of the book cuz like I said I have it on one of my bookshelves in my room. So, yeah. And I was right. It's exactly what it is. Jafar is looking for the Necronomicon. I'm not even gonna say why he's doing it, but man, is it dark. So, yeah, if any of this is sounding cool, like you might really get into this book. I'm excited. I can't believe that made it into it. Like, at least they didn't call it the Necronomicon. Maybe they're just thinking no one's gonna put the pieces together, but what a nice Easter egg. That's great. So I have about, I think I have about 120 pages left. I'm not sure how many more of these little vlogs I'll actually be doing. I just wanted to, before I like finish this up and see how I feel about how this one ends, I just wanted to throw in a few extra little thoughts here. First off, one thing I'm really appreciating about this is Jeannie reads like Jeannie. I was a little worried that, like, I mean, how do you write a character to, that was basically created by Robin Williams? But it reads very much like that version of Jeannie. So I'm really excited about that. That has been working out great. Although he's not in it as much because, again, Jafar ended up with the lamp. But we do have interactions in here with Jeannie, and so far, like, he feels like the Jeannie that we know from childhood. So that felt really good. Another thing that I'm really appreciating about this is and this is like a common complaint for anyone who's a fan of like the original cartoon Aladdin, is that, he lies a lot to Jasmine, especially. He keeps lying about who he is while simultaneously telling her to trust him or asking her if she trusts him. And I love Aladdin to pieces. He's one of my favorite Disney princes, always has been, despite that issue, because he does have a heart of gold, let's be real. We see that from the very beginning. But yeah, he's a bit of a liar. It's understandable. It's relatable given the situation and everything. But in this book, because things do play out very differently, he doesn't have the opportunity to lie to Jasmine and try to pretend he's a prince. And so they basically start their relationship on a really healthy foot, and it seems to be developing very organically. It also doesn't feel very insta-lovey because the way that time feels to be moving in this story, like maybe it's still faster paced than, it's still Disney, right? But it feels like more time is passing, and they've been spending a lot of time together and working together on this rebellion essentially. So it feels very natural, it feels very organic, and it doesn't feel super insta-lovey. And so that's really cool. I've gone off enough about how much I'm enjoying the like darker vibes to what's going on. It doesn't feel as dark as some things I've read because we're not really getting much from, like, we get, I think so far I've had like one chapter that was kind of more from like Jafar's perspective, but we're still not like, so it doesn't feel as dark as it could, I guess. But from the bits and pieces that we're seeing or the things we're finding out about what Jafar is trying to do, yeah, it's pretty creepy stuff. And yeah, so I am going to, my hope is that I'm going to be able to finish this tonight. If not tonight, then sometime tomorrow. I don't know, it kind of depends on my schedule. But I will be back soon to give you my closing thoughts. Okay, so I finally finished and I have thoughts. I'm kind of torn, to be completely honest, because most of this book so far, aside from, like I said earlier, like the first 80 pages, reads very similar to the movie, so it had that kind of nostalgic fairy tale vibe. But most of this book has read more like a historical fantasy, which normally I'm fine with. And so, on the one hand, it's a very actually kind of realistic, gritty, more raw ending. It does not have like fairy tale ending vibes to it at all, which for a darker story, that's fine, but it doesn't even have like the darker, whimsical fairy tale ending. Like it's just like pretty raw and gritty. Um, so I don't know. It was kind of sad. Like on the one hand, I'm like, okay, I can appreciate what you're going for here. Like the message of the book was really clear. Thematically, I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I think that like so I've every review that I have seen on the Twisted Tales, the people who don't like certain books, and like a lot of the times, not always, but a lot of the times their main reasoning is that it just didn't go the way they expected. And so they end up getting disappointed. And so I've been trying to go into these not having expectations. But this one, I think I clearly still had like different expectations without even realizing it, because it was not what I was expecting. And so like there was the part of me that was like, it's like I don't mind the realness, but I'm like literally reading like a Disney, like a twisted version of a Disney story for that fairy tale vibe. And so I feel like in that way, this kind of missed the mark. I'm really curious reading these, like if the authors themselves are allowed to come up with the twists and change the story as they want, or if like Disney gives them these are your options, do one of these. You know, I have no idea how that would work. I kind of really want to look into that and find out, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like this one could have been one of my favorites that I've read so far, and I feel like because of how it ended, it probably won't be. So alas, I will say, like, again, like the other one by Liz Brazel I've read so far, As Old as Time, like, this one also has a few moments where, like, the wording is kind of strange, or, like, she will write something that's more, like, telling versus showing, you know? And I don't know if that's meant to be, like, kind of a fairy tale vibe, like, to bring that to the story, or if that's just how she writes, but I feel like from a writing perspective, like you really usually want to like show not tell, and I think that that's what it is that like makes it read weird to me sometimes, is that she's kind of doing more of that, but also just like phrasing things in a way that I just like wouldn't. So I don't know, like those things kind of took me out here and there, but for the most part I liked a lot of things about this book. I will say one of the main things I really appreciated about this book is uh, the romance aspect of it. If you've seen some of my videos, you know, like I'm really picky when it comes to romance because I find most romance to be not romantic, and not realistic enough for me to like get behind. But this one was nice. Like the span of the story is like about a month, from the time that they like meet to the time like everything goes down. And like the progression of their relationship feels very natural, and it doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel like they're like immediately in love. They have an attraction, but it's not like, oh, I'm in love, you know, like most Disney stuff. So that was cool. Yeah, I did appreciate the darkness to it, although it didn't go as dark as I thought it might for a second there, with the Necronomicon stuff. Like it still got pretty dark, but darkly Disney friendly. But yeah, still fun in that way. So anyway, I really appreciate you guys being with me for this journey. I am doing other book reviews. I am also putting out writing advice, tips, things that have worked for me. So if you're interested in any of that stuff or just hanging out with me, I really appreciate it. Please, please like, share, subscribe, all the stuff. It does not take long at all, but it really, really helps me out. And to all those who already have, like, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I will see you guys very soon. Peace out.